Welcome to Chicago, Illinois, and Wintrust Arena, where this afternoon we have a rematch of last season's WNBA Finals, and Diggins-Smith arriving in style as her and Diana Taurasi and the Phoenix Mercury take on Candace Parker and the defending champion Chicago Sky. That game on ESPN and the ESPN app at the top of the hour. We're going to talk about that game and more. Welcome into WNBA Hoop Streams, presented by Google. I'm Christine Williamson alongside Alexa Philippou. I'm so excited you're here.
I know. It's great to see you again. It's been a minute.
We have a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, but what is your impression of the W season as a whole so far?
I think we've seen some things that we came to expect,
Right.
some things obviously maybe not. But to me, there's 5 contenders right now that are really jockeying for control of the WNBA. And then there's a lot of kind of parity in those maybe, I don't know, the 6 to 8 spots are going into the playoffs, the teams that are trying to get those last spots.
Right.
So I'm really excited to see after the All-Star break who's going to really come out on a really strong start and going to try and get those last spots for the playoffs.
Right.
I think it is a little wider open than maybe we thought at the beginning of the season.
Okay, that's what we love. We love the drama. So we'll dig into today's game as we get closer to tip-off. But as I mentioned earlier, this is a rematch of last year's final. Chicago took the title in 4 games. So taking a look at the current standings, the Sky are right back up there at number 2, but the Mercury are kind of struggling this season. They're 8th in the final seed of the playoffs. Of course, Phoenix has been without Brittany Griner, who of course is in Russia, and she's detained. Which hopefully we can get some updates on that next Thursday. Alexa, the question ultimately, with looking at where the Mercury are, do you think that they can turn it around this season?
Well, if you actually look at what's happened since Tina Charles took a buyout and left, they are 3-0, but of course those wins came over the Dallas Wings, who are struggling, and then 2 wins over the Indiana Fever, who are in last place. So we don't really know what this team is going to do against better teams. We'll find out tonight when they take on the Sky. But if they do want to turn it around, they're going to need to figure out how to replace Tina Charles' scoring. So she's averaged 17 points per game before she left. That means that Diggins-Smith and Diana Taurasi are really going to have to take on more of that scoring load, which I don't think is a great long-term solution, considering Diana Taurasi is 40 years old, but you kind of don't have a ton of options. Besides that, they're going to need more for Sophie Cunningham beyond the arc. They're going to need Diamond DeShields to really get going, get to the rim, convert at an efficient clip. And then they're going to need more from their defense, which it's going to be hard when you don't have any players really that are taller than 6'3" on your roster.
Yeah.
But they do get Kia Nurse back, hopefully soon, so I think that'll help the unit as a whole.
Okay, so you mentioned Tina Charles. She signed on as a free agent, and then she only played 18 games, right? And then she had what they called an immediate contract divorce, which sounds very overdramatic, but I love things that are overdramatic, so it works. What exactly happened with Tina Charles?
Right, so that's basically a buyout. But our Josh Weinfuss reported that Tina was unhappy with her role in the Mercury's offense, that she wanted to be more of a centerpiece because Brittany Griner is gone, so she thought maybe she could be more of a focal point. But I think at the end of the day, what we have to remember about Tina Charles is that she wants to win a WNBA title.
Right.
That is her end-all be-all at this point in her career. She's in her early 30s, and that's what she's really going for. So once that became clear that was not going to happen in Phoenix, they were 6-12 at the time that she left, and it just did not look like that was really going to be feasible at that point. It makes sense that, she was like, I have to reassess my options, and she goes to the Seattle Storm, who are title contenders. And we also saw some apparent chemistry issues with the Mercury, so it wasn't necessarily the most shocking thing that she decided, I'm going to do what's best for me in my career and go try and win a title with the Storm.
I mean, there was a little drama with the Mercury at one point. We had that
at one point, at many points.
There's still a little bit of tension, I feel like, there. So, yeah, she gets out. She goes to Seattle. What do you think the expectations are for her in Seattle?
Well, what's interesting is that we've seen her do something so far that she's never done before in her career, which is coming off the bench. She had started every game of her career up till then in the WNBA. But so far, it's worked for her and for Seattle. They have something really good going with their starting 5. Sue Bird, Gabby Williams, Jewel Lloyd, Brianna Stewart, obviously, and Ezzy Magbor. So they actually are doing really well with that starting 5. They're bringing Tina off the bench, hoping that she can provide a little bit more of a punch on the offensive side of things, crash the glass, and so far it's worked. So well. And as long as Tina buys into that role, she's not going to necessarily be seeing the same amount of points, scoring opportunities, or even minutes per game that she was playing in Phoenix. But she can still help them be a championship caliber team because they really need that depth from the bench that's coming off. So.
Do you feel like her as a player, you mentioned this is the first time off for her coming off of the bench, right? Do you feel like her as a player, there's something that she has to shift in her mindset coming off of the bench? Obviously, like you mentioned, she was a starter for the Mercury. What do you think her mindset is going into Seattle? Obviously, she wants to contend, but what do you think her mindset is now that she's in Seattle?
Yeah, I think it's probably just that she's less of a centerpiece than what she would have been maybe in Phoenix or what she was maybe even in Washington or in New York in previous stops in her career. But if she wants to win the title, that's kind of like what you have to do at this point, because she's not going to be a centerpiece of the Storm when you have Brianna Storied and Jewel Lloyd. So she probably has to, as I said, buy into that and what we've seen so far. And you know what? Honestly, her body language, I was noticing that in the game Wednesday when they beat the Aces. She was like dancing on the sidelines when she wasn't in the game the last like 7 minutes or so. So it seems like she is down for this. And so I do think there's a mindset shift, but she can still do really good things and help the team win a title, and that's what she cares about at the end of the day.
Do you think there's an opportunity for her to be a starter and more of a centerpiece of this team in the future?
That's really tough because Ezzy has been an incredible player so far for the Storm this season. She's really getting it done from both ends. Could be an all-defensive team. So if I were Noelle Quinn, I'd probably want to keep Ezzy starting. And I would probably want to keep Tina coming off the bench and hope that everyone's kind of okay with that. But you also have Mercedes Russell. Usually she was the Storm's starting center before she had this like injury that's been keeping her out most of the season. So you also have to figure out what you're going to do with her if she does come back. But you got to keep going with what's going well if you're Noelle Quinn. So I would keep Ezzy starting and keep Tina coming off the bench and hope everyone's going to kind of roll with it.
Everybody's happy. Okay, so we'll talk more about that later. You're watching Hoop Streams presented by Google, and that is Diana Taurasi. Oh my gosh, getting some love. We love this. We love when, they're frenemies, right? No, everybody's family in the WNBA. They're ready to take on the Sky on ESPN and the ESPN app at the top of the hour. Now, this is the 2022 WNBA All-Star game. That game is on Sunday, July 10th in Chicago. So you have to watch that. It's on ABC. This is a look at the starters and reserves who were recently named. For the starters who were selected by fans, current players, and the media, Sue Bird extends her record number of All-Star selections to 13, while the Aces is Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young, along with the Liberty's Sabrina Ionescu, are set to make their All-Star debut. So here's a look at the reserves. 12 players who were selected by the league's head coaches. The list is highlighted by a trio of Sky players. We have Kalia Copper, Emma Mieseman, Courtney Vandersloot. In addition, a number 1 overall pick from the 2022 WNBA draft. That's Ryan Howard. She will make her All-Star debut. Howard leads the dream in all WNBA rookies in scoring this season. So when you look at who was recognized as an All-Star this season, is there anybody, and I love this question because, it's like shade a little bit. Is there anybody who you feel was snubbed?
Oh, yes. So I voted for Alicia Gray to make the All-Star team. I wasn't shocked necessarily, wasn't a starter, but I definitely thought she was going to make one of the reserves. But she's really just someone who gets it done on both ends of the floor for Dallas. She's also averaging 5 rebounds per game, having a great season from 3. I think she's shooting like 43%. And she's actually shooting a lot of 3s per game. So even more impressive that she's making them at that clip. But if you actually look at the advanced stats too, not to throw too much shade, this advanced stats show that she's the more valuable player than, say, an Arike Ogunbowale. So that was my, maybe you should have put Alicia Gray on. Kelsey Mitchell, also want to give a shout out. I thought she could have definitely deserved a spot. For the Indiana Fever, they did not get an All-Star. It's always so sad for, just the one team that didn't get an All-Star. But yeah, she's having a great season too. 19 points per game, 41% from 3, and also 4 assists per game. So between those two, both having career seasons, both were deserving of an All-Star spot, in my opinion.
I like that you said who you would take off, because that was going to be my next question. Who would you take off in favor of Alicia Gray? So you say Arike Ogunbowale.
Yeah. Okay. I know that's probably pretty controversial, but if we're going to, we're looking head-to-head at teammates. I think she could be the, MVP, if you will, of the wings.
Okay, that makes sense.
No shade to Enrique.
So A'ja Wilson and Stewie were the top 2 leaders in the fan vote. So they'll serve as the team captains for the WNBA All-Star Team Selection Special. That's going to be today at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's hosted by Kelsey Riggs. Shout out to Kels. So because she had the most fan votes, A'ja has the first pick. Who do you think she should pick first?
Oh, I think she's got to go with Kelsey Plum.
Okay.
It's her teammate, she knows they're familiar with each other, obviously, but Kelsey Plum also just seems like the sort of player that's going to go off in an All-Star game, kind of like Enrique did last year. Kelsey can just launch it from 3 as you're looking at. She can get to the rim. I just think she's going to thrive in that environment. It's her first All-Star game. I think she's going to go off. And so I think if I were A'ja, I'd pick your teammate. I'd pick your girl you're homies with. Go with Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, she's going to let that thing fly. Okay, so the All-Star game is obviously about the top players in the WNBA. Right now, at this moment, who do you think is the top player in the WNBA?
Yeah, I'm going to cop out and give you 2.
Oh, no.
I think if I had to do like a 1A and 1B, I would say A'ja Wilson, because Becky Hammon's actually said this, that A'ja is the centerpiece of what the Aces do on both ends of the floor. She's just one of those players. She's consistently dominant. She's going to go put her team over the top as a title contender. And I think now, too, she's like, look at this. A'ja Wilson is launching threes and making them. And I just think we can't, the whole thing that she's being able to do now, all this in Becky Hammon's system, I just love it for her. But my 1B would be Brianna Stewart, because I think also with the Storm, they had so many kind of lineup issues. They had personnel in and out at the beginning of the season. Brianna Stewart was just that constant, like, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do what you guys need of me to help us win. And so I think the Storm would have been a lot worse off without her, especially with Jewel Lloyd having a little inconsistency early on, and Sue Bird not quite at the very, very top of her game as normal. So that was my 2.
Okay. She gave me 2. It's a little bit of a cop-out, like she said, but
sorry.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Like I said, you can watch the WNBA All-Star Team Selection Special at 3 p.m. Eastern today on ESPN and judge for yourself how well the team captains A'ja Wilson and Brianna Stewart construct their All-Star teams. So now we're watching Kahleah Copper as the Mercury take on the Sky on ESPN and the ESPN app at the top of the hour. All right, now it's time to Fuel Tomorrow, presented by Gatorade. We want to talk about 2 legends who are retiring at the end of the season, who not only shaped the WNBA, okay, but they also completely changed the game. And you mentioned Sue Bird. We have to start with Sue Bird. She announced earlier this month that her 21st WNBA season will be her last. Obviously, she's coming off of a dynasty at UConn. Bird built another one in the WNBA. 4 WNBA titles and the league's first all-time assist leader. Here is Bird on her first take last week on why she decided to finally hang up her sneakers.
I've probably said it to myself like 50 times in the last 2 years. It's been an ongoing conversation for me. But it finally, oddly, people had told me, like, you're just gonna know. Like, at some point, you're just gonna know. And I didn't really believe it, but that means I just wasn't ready. People are gonna talk about certain things. I hope one day, women's basketball is on First Take and you're debating who is the best point guard ever. And those debates are fun and they're necessary. I think for me, what I'll always represent, it's not the points, assists, it's the winning and it's the longevity. So the winning in different decades, it speaks to being able to stay at the top of your game, something Richard Jefferson said on ESPN recently. Like, that is the hard part. So I think when it's all said and done, that'll be something I'm super proud of.
All right, so here's a look at Bird's never-ending list of accomplishments. She's played the most games in WNBA history. She's a league's all-time assist leader, won 4 titles, and has the most All-Star selections. Obviously, she's done a lot, and I love that quote from her. Was that last season or maybe 2 seasons ago, where she was talking about how one of her rookies' moms was the same age as her, and she was like, wait a second. Maybe it's time for me to go. But when you think about Sue Bird and what she's done for the league as a whole, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, I mean, she touched on a lot of it there, but I think at the end of the day, she's going to go down as one of the greatest champions the sport has ever seen, because she's won a record 5 Olympic gold medals, 4 WNBA titles, and 2 championships at UConn. And there's a ton more that, we could keep going on and on for the rest of the stream if we wanted to just list her accomplishments. But what really she showed is that you can have incredible longevity as a basketball player, as a WNBA player, and still be playing at a high level when you decide to, everything's all said and done. She is the first WNBA champion to win in 3 different decades. I just think that's like the craziest stat too, which is considering all the change she's seen in the league. But she's also arguably the best point guard that the game has seen, and she did it by taking pride in just being more of a glue player, a little bit more of an unselfish player, and that you don't have to have, the flashiest passes or take the most shots to make a difference on your team. And that's, I think, what you saw in those championship teams that she was part of. But she still undoubtedly made all the teams she was on better.
And looking at those photos of her, she looks the same.
It's unbelievable.
How?
Need those jeans. I hope I have those.
I know, right? Okay, so we're not just losing one legend after this season, but 2, as this is the Minnesota Lynx' Sylvia Fowles last season as well. So she was the number 2 pick in the 2008 WNBA draft behind Candace Parker. So she's a WNBA MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, and the league's career leader in rebounds. So for those who may not know that much about Fowles as a player, what has she given the WNBA?
Yeah, I mean, she's, again, arguably the greatest center in WNBA history. And I think all of the accolades that you just read off exhibit that. I mean, an MVP, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Winner. That's incredible. And also, she helped turn the Minnesota Lynx into the juggernaut when she arrived after starting her career in Chicago. They obviously won 4 titles in 7 seasons, and she was part of the 15-17 teams where she won Finals MVP both those years. And little fun fact, if you go on Basketball Reference, she's number 3 all-time in win shares in league history behind Mika Catchings and Lauren Jackson. So, proven winner. But yeah, similar to Sue, I'd say, she stands out because of her longevity and her consistent dominance. I think what's incredible about her is that she was 4th in MVP voting last year, and she also won her 4th Defensive Player of the Year award last year. And that's, year... 14 or something that it was at that point. So, and obviously she's established herself as this kind of this ferocious presence on the court, but everyone off the court loves her as Sweet Sil or Mama Sil. And she's really shown what it's like to be, or what it kind of is the epitome of being a humble superstar.
Yeah, I know that Sue said that she felt the moment that she knew that she was going to retire. But honestly, part of me, for both her and Sylvia, I'm like, are you guys going to pull Tom Brady and just decide to come back?
I know.
Because the league would love it. We wouldn't be mad at it.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna do something called Did Y'all See That?
These facials, I
know. Believe me, everything is as shocking as those people acted like it was. Okay, so we're gonna start off with some feel good, but also some funnies, because we mentioned that Sylvia Fowles was retiring, so she got gifted with a framed jersey and a nice reclining rocking chair.
Man. She's not that old, guys. Come on. She's such a good sport, though.
I honestly feel like she's like trying to laugh, and she's like, wait a second. She probably was like, what the heck is under there? Did she know about this before it happened?
So many questions. And this is her old team, right? So it's like, there's just layers to this.
She might have honestly thought that like, she was going to get some kind of like statue or something, because they lifted up that black thing. She probably was like, what is this?
A recliner.
I'm sorry, it's a recliner.
You know what though? Everyone needs a good recliner. She'll use that, I'm sure. I'm a little jealous.
It's probably like, okay, I guess, how is she going to get that home? That's the other question.
That is an excellent question. I hope the Sky paid for that, not on Syl's time.
Okay, let's go to Sabrina Ionescu. She said good night to the Atlanta Dream last week after sinking a deep 3. She was flirting with a triple-double this game, 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, and that's the good night. Like, thank you. You should probably just go home at this point. I love the sass.
Right.
Know?
Especially from Sabrina, because she's like not that, like, she's always trash talk,
right,
you know?
Right.
So I like a little personality every
exactly,
now and then.
Exactly. Not to be outdone, because Diggins-Smith did something extremely similar to that, closing out a big road win for the Phoenix Mercury against the Dallas Wings. She drained one, and then she said goodnight also.
Right over Marina Marie.
And something that our producer pointed out, he said that she's wearing 2 different sneakers. I don't know if I've seen her do this all the time, right?
She always knows what's up with like fashion, style. I mean, I just love everything that she's going for in this look.
Which one do you think was more dramatic, Sabrina or Skylar?
Sky.
Because she did it right after she sunk
it.
And Sabrina's not that much of a trash talker.
Right.
Skylar Diggins-Smith will
Exactly.
That's
you got to take into account who it's coming from.
Exactly. That's very true. That's very true. All right, let's go to Courtney Vandersloot, who drills the buzzer beater. She takes the ball, okay, gives it back to Emma, okay? Emma finds her again and she drains that thing for the Sky, securing an 88-85 dub over the Lynx. I mean,
it's like wherever I've seen this movie before. Sloot is just this incredible finisher. I mean, we always talk about her passing and whatnot, but yeah, you don't want to if she has the ball in the fourth quarter, watch out.
It's also great to watch the Lynx bench behind her.
They're like, oh,
they're
no.
all kind of like, wait a second, oh no,
This can't be good.
Goes back to her, and she just knows that they just like know what's gonna happen. And if you watch their faces, they're not happy about it.
Yeah, even when you got Syl closing out.
I mean, it was very close, very close. She tried, but no success.
Brutal.
Okay, so we do not watch, both of us don't watch Stranger Things, which is sad. But last year they debuted these jerseys, and I actually hated them, I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Because I didn't understand, because I don't watch Stranger Things, I honestly didn't understand the connection, but now I get it. It's in Indiana.
Right.
So the jerseys made a comeback, and it represents the upside down, which I don't know what that means either, because we do not watch Stranger Things. Oh, it's scary. Okay, got it. Sid just told us it's scary. Okay, it means that it's scary. So the Indiana Fever, scary?
Depends on what you want to, how you want to define scary. You know what? They've been more respectable this year. I don't want to throw too much shade.
Okay.
But they are still last place. That can be a little scary.
That's scary for them.
Right. Well, yeah. You know what? Things are going better in Indiana.
Exactly. So season 4 of Stranger Things, I think the finale just dropped, so that's why they did that. Okay, this is a TikTok trend that usually you see with like 2 people, but the Aces decided to do the tortilla challenge. They fill their mouth with water and then slap each other with tortillas. And I think the point is like whoever empties their mouth of water first loses. Would you do this?
Yeah, I would do it. I thought I was on TikTok, but I never heard of the tortilla challenge until we were talking about this.
Really?
So I just am not with the times and the youth, I guess.
It's kind of weird because people slap the heck out of each other and they're just trying to get the person to spit water. But I'm honestly like, if you're facing a person and you get slapped with tortilla and they have water in their mouth, aren't they going to spit water at you? Which seems disgusting.
Right. Also, wouldn't the tortilla break? I mean, they're not that strong.
Gotta get strong tortillas. Maybe not corn tortillas, but flour ones.
Okay.
They'll stay together a little bit longer. I don't know. It's a weird challenge. I don't understand who comes up with these challenges on TikTok.
Someone did float that we would do it here.
Yes.
And we opted not to because there's too much like expensive equipment and whatnot. Maybe we'll do it outside another time.
We'll do it and then we'll record it and we'll play it next time. Okay. All right, you're looking at Candace Parker and a fan. Okay, so they had this sign that said, "Hi, Candace." I love when players see fans that are like really interested in them and they're like, I'm gonna go be their friend.
Yeah, WNBA players are great about that.
Anyways, Candace Parker and the Sky are taking on the Mercury on ESPN in the app at the top of the hour. All right, it's time for There's More to the Game, brought to you by Google. Now, Alexa searches for the most triple doubles in WNBA history, spiked by 1,300% in the U.S. over the past week, and it was for good reason. Also, who does the math? I mean, I know that there's math, but how did you compare previous searches to now? That's a lot. 1,300 is a lot. Okay. So on Tuesday, the Lynx's Mariah Jefferson made triple-double history. So she scored 13 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and handed out 10 assists, and recorded her first career triple-double. It's the first triple-double in Lynx franchise history and the 4th triple-double of the season. The most in a season in league history. The best part for her, she did it in a win against her former team who cut her earlier this season. And that's probably what spurred her on to go off. So back to the triple doubles. Check this out. There have been 8 triple doubles in the WNBA in the last 6 seasons. In the 20 previous seasons before that, there were only 5. So I'm honestly curious, what has made this boom? What would you attribute it to?
I'm sure there are way smarter people in the basketball analytics world that have actual answers to this. But to me, what stands out is you have these different types of players that are emerging. You have the Candace Parker types who are these facilitating forwards.
Yeah.
Candace Parker is the leader right now in the WNBA in triple doubles. So she's someone who's gonna, as she emerges and as she is able to do these things, she's going to get more opportunities to have triple doubles. We also see Alyssa Thomas similar mold of player. She hasn't had a triple-double, but she's always very close. So those kind of like facilitating forwards that are getting more common in the league, I think, is one. And then you have more like rebounding guards. And I always think of Sabrina Ionescu in that category, and that's why she did so well at Oregon, getting triple-doubles. But also have to, shout out to Courtney Vandersloot, who also has multiple triple-doubles in the WNBA. And although she's more known for her passing, she'll get in there and rebound too. And I just want to say about Mariah Jefferson too, she's like 5'6". So the fact that she was going in there and getting like 10 rebounds, I also looked up and she only had one double-double in her entire UConn career.
Oh, wow.
So the fact that she came and got a triple-double in the WNBA.
Got a fire under her rear end because she was like, you cut me and this is what happens to you.
Exactly.
You do that. You're watching WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google, and the Mercury are getting ready to take on the Sky at the top of the hour on ESPN and the ESPN app. Right now, that is Diana Taurasi, and we're going to take a look at her journey from a wide-eye teen to a champion. And now, of course, she's the White Mamba.
Have you ever seen anyone more complete than Taurasi?
One of the all-time greats in this league.
The WNBA didn't exist when Diana Taurasi was a young girl, so she aspired to be a Laker. But just 10 days after she turned 15, the WNBA debuted in June of 1997 at the Great Western Forum, then home to her beloved Lakers.
It's the latest chapter in the history of women's sports, the WNBA.
And a new goal was born.
Diana Taurasi, the All-American, all-everything.
It took her across the country to Storrs, Connecticut, to play for a program and a coach who insisted that the hard road to excellence was the only one worth traveling.
Connecticut has won the national championship again.
Diana won 3 national championships with Gina Auriemma at UConn and did it with a bravado and flair that made people enjoy the show without fully realizing how much sweat and toil went into it.
Diana Taurasi will go out on top.
Even then, the Mamba mentality drove her to consistently put in the work during practice in empty gyms so she could shine brighter when the lights came on. Diana was a #1 draft pick in 2004, headed to a Phoenix Mercury team that needed an identity.
The Phoenix Mercury are your WNBA champions.
3 WNBA titles, 5 Olympic gold medals, and 6 EuroLeague championships later, Diana has scored more points than anyone in WNBA history.
Taurasi for the record!
Diana Taurasi coming through in the clutch.
To the best team in history!
She came up to me, she said, I'm the White Mamba. I said, yes, you are. She has every bit of the temperament.
Kobe called you the White Mamba for a reason. You're a stone-cold killer on the court who is fiercely competitive, and you changed the game for everyone. Tu ejemplo para luchar adelante es increíble. Tú eres una inspiración y fuerza para todos. El deporte ha mejorado por ti y por tu legado. Diana ends every workout the same way, with a game winner from Kobe. 3 dribbles going right, left foot plant, pivot, fade away.
I never wanted to be or talked about or worked every single day to be the best player in the world. I just try to be the best basketball player that day.
Diana has followed the inspiration of youth to basketball immortality, a journey that she might say was done the Mamba way, leaving her own legacy as a WNBA pioneer.
Oh my goodness, straight chills from watching that. The Mercury are going to need the White Mamba today if they want to beat the Sky. This season, Phoenix is 8-4 when Taurasi scores 15 or more points, only 1-8 when she scores fewer than 15. Okay, let's get to the game. We have a couple minutes left. More than moments away, Now that we know we're getting into this matchup, what are you expecting from the Mercury specifically?
Well, it's interesting because when these teams first met, I think that was in May, Diana Taurasi actually got ejected from that game.
Yeah.
But the Mercury kept things close. They only lost by 3. Of course, Tina Charles was on the team then, scored 25 points. So they're going to need, as you were saying, you're going to need Taurasi to have a good game. You're going to need also, I'm looking at Diamond DeShields.
Yeah.
How is she going to fare against her former team? Because she had a little bit of a quieter game their first go around. So I'm looking to see if Diamond can step up too and help out Skylar Diggins-Smith and Diana Taurasi. But then on the other side of things, I'm a little worried about the Mercury defensively because the Sky are so hot on offense right now, and they weren't when they last played in May. So it might be a long night on that end of the floor. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me.
Okay, you mentioned the Sky hot on offense. They're also hot in general. They're doing really well this season. What are you expecting to see out of them in this matchup?
I mean, their offense is such a well-oiled machine, and they have such incredible chemistry that's built since they brought in Candace Parker at the beginning of last season. That's only continued to grow. And they had these new pieces, Emma Miesemann, Julie Aleman. As long as they're still kind of getting comfortable, they're only going to continue to get better. So I just think the Sky right now, I mean, I think they're top in the league in true shooting percentage, and they're second maybe in assist rate. So their offense is just beautiful when it's on. But they're going to have to take care of the ball. That was an issue for them, or has been an issue for them at times. So I am really interested to see what kind of offense we see from both teams tonight.
Well, you can see that literally right now on ESPN and the ESPN app. If you're watching in the ESPN app, go on inside into your cable provider and watch that game right here. That's all for us on WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google. We will see you guys next time.
Have fun.